Hello! So I just wanted to do a quick video talking to you about the anime and manga that I plan on reading and watching in the first quarter of 2024. Now that I've split the channels and I have a manga space and a book space, how I talk about series, I've been trying to figure out. I think I have it sorted. So I'm going to tell you about what I plan on reading and watching, as well as letting you know how I plan on covering each series. And I'll plan to do one of these every quarter just to give you an idea of what's on my radar and what you can be looking out for. So I'm going to start with what I plan on reading and watching, and then we'll move into how I plan on formatting discussions or reviews or just check-ins for these things. Starting with the manga, because that's my main jam. Right now I'm reading Naruto. I'm currently on volume 13 and I've been reading about, on average, I've been reading 4 volumes a week. So according to that schedule, I should have a Naruto review for you for part 1 of Naruto at the end of January. Now, am I going to continue reading into part 2 right away, or am I going to take a short break and then do something else? I haven't decided yet. It depends on how much I like part 1. Right now, I'm enjoying myself, and I think there's plenty to discuss. So I think I'll enjoy having that discussion with y'all if you're interested in it. I'm also currently reading Akane Banashi. I am 4 volumes into that. This was recommended to me by Tekking, and this follows a young girl who wants to be a rakugo, which is a specific type of Japanese storytelling where single person sits on a mat or kneels on a mat and then tells a story on their own. It's a one-person play, and their facial expressions and their tone of voice and their pacing, all of this is what makes the performance great, and it's meant to be with a comedy bent. So naturally, a manga about a person kneeling on a mat telling a story, you wouldn't think it would be very interesting. And 4 volumes in, I'm not, or maybe I'm 5 volumes in, I'm not 100% convinced about it yet, but I am enjoying myself because you have family dynamics, you have her father who also sought this career that's extremely difficult to get into and extremely difficult to make a living off of, and because of circumstances, it's complicated. We'll say it's complicated, and now she's pursuing it as well. So it's her learning to get better at the craft. It's her natural love and desire for the craft. It's her meeting other people who are helping to mentor her or who are competing with her as she competes in competitions or tries to serve masters of the trade. Like I said, I'm not completely convinced on it yet, but I am interested with where I am. And we're going to soon be starting Descending Stories. So if you don't know, I do weekly discussions or bi-weekly discussions now with my friend Philip. All the discussions are being held on his channel now, and when we complete a series, we do a live stream on my channel to do like final thoughts, discussing everything. That's what we did for To Your Eternity when we wrapped that series up, and now we're starting Descending Stories, which is also a series about Rakugo. Like, what are the odds that I would be reading 2 of these at once? I didn't mean to do it, it's just where we are. So I'm starting that in January. That one has an anime, and I'm probably going to do the anime for that alongside the manga, because I just think that this kind of story would lend itself really well to an anime, and unfortunately Akane doesn't have one. And Descending Stories is really quick, so is Akane. Akane's it's ongoing and it's not complete, but I'll be done with it pretty soon, and Descending Stories is completed and it's very short. So I'm gonna have both of those done pretty quickly, and after Philip and I finish Descending Stories, and Alan should be joining us for that one as well, if you watched the To Your Eternity chat, you already know and love Alan. He should be joining us for Descending Stories as well. And after we finish that, Philip wants to start One Piece. So I'll be rereading One Piece and having volume by volume discussions with him on that, which I'm so excited about. So after I finish either Akane or Descending Stories, whichever one gets completed first, I will be starting Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. So my patrons vote once a quarter on one short form manga for me to read of their picking, and this time the winner of the poll was this series, which I've never heard of before. It was also suggested by patron. It says, far in the future, after an apocalyptic conflict has devastated much of the world's ecosystem, a few surviving humans live scattered in a semi-hospitable environments within what has become a toxic jungle. So we follow the main character who apparently can communicate with giant insects that live inside of this toxic jungle, and she navigates the jungle as well as works with someone to try to bring peace in this world. I don't know, but the art looks really pretty, and that was what won the poll, so I will be reading that probably in February. Then after that, I'm going to read another very short, this is actually an American comic, it's not manga, but where does that fit in my two channels? Apparently it fits here. It's called The Unwritten. This was sent to me by a patron, and it follows a boy whose father is a very popular novelist. He wrote a fantasy series that just took off about a boy wizard. It's very Harry Potter-esque, but the main character in the story follows a little bit too, he looks a little bit too much like our main character in this story. So now people always associate this character with the book version of him, and he kind of can't escape that. But that also, I think, leads to people, a group that secretly keeps tabs on him and is watching him too closely. So he has to travel the world, and there's a mystery that unfolds about it all. I don't know a lot of details, but the bind-up was sent to me, so I'm gonna give it a go. That will probably also be in February. I said in my TBR that I filmed a while ago that I was gonna read Snow White with Red Hair, and I didn't read it. So I'm gonna read it now. I'm gonna at least start it. I don't know if I'll like it because this is within a genre that I get really mixed results out of, but I'm at least gonna read the first few volumes and see if I like it. I see if it's kind of my jam. That's really long, so it'll take me a while to get through that, but I usually have multiple series going at a time, so I'll get into that as well. And then finally, depending on how Snow White with Red Hair goes, if I end up DNFing it, if it ends up not being for me, because it is a romance and I very rarely jive with romances, so I don't see myself reading something that's this long with romance being the main focus. I have a backup in case I end up bouncing off of that real quick, and that's probably gonna end up being JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I don't know a lot about JoJo. Actually, let me go ahead and look up a quick summary on it. The universe of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a reflection of the real world with added existence of supernatural forces and beings. In this setting, some people are capable of transforming their inner spiritual power into a stand. That means nothing to me. Another significant form of energy. Oh, now you're just telling me stuff. I don't know any of these things. The narrative JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is split into parts with independent stories and different characters. Each of the series protagonists is a member of Joestar family, whose mainline descendants possess a star-shaped birthmark above their left shoulder blade and a name that can be abbreviated into JoJo. Okay, I don't want to read too far because I don't want to accidentally get spoiled. All I know about it is that, at least from what I've seen and what I've heard, it sounds chaotic and bizarre. I happen to love a lot of bizarre fiction. One of my favorite series is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Novel series is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I also love the Discworld novels, if you're familiar with them. I like satire. I like One Piece. I like goofy, wacky, bizarre things, and a series called A Bizarre Adventure might be up my alley. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to at least try it. So Naruto will take me a while, but like I said, I like to read a few things at once. So Akane, Descending Stories, Nausicaa, and Unwritten all should be kind of quick reads for me. And then we'll see how Snow White and JoJo go. Both of those could potentially be great for me, or they could potentially be not so great. So those are the series that are on my radar for this quarter. I'm obviously not going to finish Snow White with Red Hair or JoJo this quarter, but I plan on maybe starting them. And then my anime list is much shorter because I really don't watch a lot of TV at all, but I am trying to be more well-versed in anime as well. And there are a few stories that I think translate better to anime probably than manga, so I have a couple on my list for that as well. Your Name, I actually plan on watching this week, and if I enjoy it, there will be a video out for it next week. All I know is that it's a body swap series and that it's supposed to be really emotional. My friend Alan recommended it to me, so I'm going to watch it. We're also watching Pluto, the anime, starting in January. We're gonna do watch parties on my Discord, on my Patreon. One of my friends said that she thinks Urasawa's work translates better to anime than to manga, so she wanted me to try another one of his series through the anime, so we're gonna try Pluto together, and fingers crossed I like it. I didn't love Monster, so I'm hopeful for Pluto. And then the final anime series that I have on this list that I will not see all the way through by the end of this quarter, but I'm going to at least start, I don't know yet. I'm trying to decide. I know I want to do something that's more action-based, and so I'm trying to decide between Jujutsu Kaisen or Haikyuu, I think is what it's called, the volleyball anime. I know both of those are really well loved, and so I'm just trying to decide which one I'm going to pick up next. We'll see how I feel when it comes time for me to start whichever one, but you can place your votes in the comments if you think that I would like one more than the other. But with both being more action-packed as far as I understand it, I reckon the anime would probably go over better than the manga. So that's my list. I know it's kind of long, but again, I don't plan on finishing everything in this list. I just plan on at least starting everything on this list, which is still, you know, still plenty of things. But that's the anime and manga that I plan on reading and watching in the first quarter of this year, at least starting them. Now let's talk about how I'm going to talk about them, because since the channel's split, I've kind of just been trying to figure out what my content looks like now that I have dedicated spaces for both of the things that I like to read. And I feel pretty settled with the format that I've chosen. So I'm going to explain to you what that format is and explain to you how each of these series will likely be covered going forward. So my content is primarily One Piece focused because One Piece is my one true love, but occasionally I do want to talk about other series. The way I've been doing that is either through a dedicated video, a live stream, or I've started doing shorts. So kind of the formula that I've been using is if I enjoyed a series and I want to dig into it a little bit more, I give it a dedicated video, like Yona of the Dawn is a great example of that. It got a spoiler-free video. If I love a series and I want to talk about it a lot, I might give it 1 or 2 dedicated videos plus a live stream, which is what I did for Dragon Ball and Dragonball Z, which y'all don't like that I split up, but the manga, Shonen Jump, splits it up, and so that's the way I know it. And then if I'm just starting off a series and I want to let you know that I've read it, or if I don't really like it that much by the end, then it gets a short. So in the month of December, I let you know that I was starting Naruto with a short. I did kind of a joking, here's what it's like reading, or here's what it was like for me reading through the Promised Neverland short. And then in the comments, I kind of explained my overall thoughts about the series. I didn't want to do a dedicated video because I didn't end up liking it by the end, though I thought that it was an excellent concept. It just didn't pan out. And I gave a really quick review for Monster, which was just a collection of one-shots, so it didn't feel like it needed its own video, so it got a short. So that's kind of the formula that I've been using, and I'm pretty happy with it. My content mainly being One Piece focused, but as I start a series or am reading through a series, I'll let you know through the shorts, or if I finish something or catch up on something and I enjoy it, then it might get a dedicated video and a live stream, or just a dedicated video. And there was also the live stream I did for To Your Eternity, like I mentioned earlier. So if there's any series that I mentioned that I plan on reading or watching here in the first quarter of 2024 that you are interested in seeing my thoughts on, since you don't know and I don't know how I'm gonna like this series before I've read it or watched it, there's no telling if it's going to get a dedicated video, if it's going to get a live stream, or if it's just going to get a short. So if there's a series on this list that you want to make sure you don't miss my thoughts on, the easiest way to not miss my thoughts on anything is to turn notifications on so that you don't miss anything. But if you're not interested in getting my thoughts on every single thing that I read, which is very understandable, or watch, which is very understandable, then I will also make a point each quarter when I look forward and tell you, here's what I'm planning on reading and watching in the upcoming quarter. I'll make sure to also point out all the shorts, videos, and live streams that I do outside of One Piece, like I did in this video, and I'll make sure to link everything in the description of the video like it will be linked in this video, so you don't have to have notifications turned on if you don't want them turned on, and there will still be every quarter here's a list of everything that I talked about, so that you make sure that you don't miss your favorites. I don't know how interesting this kind of video is going to be to y'all. I don't know how many people are gonna care what I plan on reading and watching outside of One Piece or my thoughts on them whatsoever. But I'm a planner. I like figuring out what I'm planning on reading and watching, what kind of content I'm planning on making. It makes me feel secure to know what my plans are. So I'm sharing them with you if you happen to be interested. If you're not, that's cool. But I will have another one of these videos up probably late March to reflect on the series that I did read and watch and what content was made about them, as well as to look forward into quarter 2 of 2024 and what I've decided, what I've planned on for that as well. I already mentioned it a couple times in this video, but I'll also mention here at the end that over on my Patreon, we make a dedicated channel on the Patreon Discord for every series that I read, and then I talk about it volume by volume as I'm reading through it. And we like to kind of turn it into a buddy read where we all read them together or reread them or discuss them. So if that interests you as well, that's also linked in the description. Anyway, those are my plans for what I plan to read or watch in the first quarter of 2024. Feel free to chat with me more about it in the comments if there's anything that you're particularly excited about and want to see my thoughts on. You're also welcome to, if you see me post a short, giving beginning thoughts or brief thoughts on anything. If it's something that you'd like a full video on, you're welcome to let me know in the comments as well so I can kind of gauge interest. It's mostly going to be based on my interest, like how much do I have to say about a series. But if there's enough interest, I'm happy to consider doing more. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed your 2023. I have loved what I've been reading, and I'm really excited about some of these series coming up. Probably on Monday will be the review for Your Name. It'll be my first anime-only review, so that's pretty exciting. Anyway, I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on the book channel. I'll see you again soon. Bye.